Welcome to my space. I'm Ashley from Soaring Sparrow Healing, and I'm really excited to dive in with you around shamanic healing and what it means for me and for you to be a shamanic practitioner. So, the one question I get a lot, especially as people are learning about what shamanism is and what shamanic healing is, a big question I get a lot is, what is it? What do you do? How does it work? All of those beautiful things that in Western culture we always want to understand. We want to know. We want to know why and how things work. So the most simplest way to explain shamanic work and shamanic healing is it is so much more than just, for me personally, it's so much more than just going for a healing. It is about creating a change. It's about creating ripple effects of change. It's about being aware, about being connected in with who you are on a soul level and the soul path that you are here to be a part of and to live. So for me, my job inside of a healing is to understand what we call soul sickness. So soul sickness can manifest itself in many, many, many different ways, especially in Western culture. We have the largest amount of illness inside of our culture. When we look at things like mental health, when we look at physical illnesses in the body, suicide rates, when we look at abuse and trauma and drug abuse and addictions and all of those things, they are all symptoms of soul sickness. And when, especially in Western culture, we look so heavily at the symptom. We don't necessarily look at the root cause of what is causing the symptom. So within the work that I have the honor and the privilege to do is that I get the opportunity to look at the entire being as a whole and looking at what is underneath that symptom, what is causing that symptom, where is it coming from, where did it start from, and really looking at how we can help heal that and how we can help work through that to empower you to fully stand up. And sometimes these symptoms or these roadblocks that get put in our way, they come at a time when we are trying to up level, when we are trying to create a better life for ourselves, when we decide that we want to work through something, that we can sometimes get knocked, not necessarily knocked back, but it can bring these emotions and these elements of who we are, it can bring them up to the surface. And with the society that we live in, it's very easy for us to go, I don't want to deal with that because it's icky or because it's wrong or it's bad. We're very good in Western culture to to go, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to look at that. I don't want to feel that emotion. And that's really what this work is about, is it's about allowing yourself the permission and the freedom to feel and express all of your emotions. We live in a society that if we are feeling angry or we are feeling sad or we are feeling, that we can't express ourselves. We live in this culture where we are held back in expressing those emotions because those emotions have been ingrained in us as they are wrong or they are bad. And it's time to change that narrative. It's time to change that story, because at the end of the day, we need all of those emotions, because those emotions, they are showing us a bigger story. They are showing us when something isn't right or when something isn't in alignment. But if we're not used to being able to actually express when we get frustrated, or express when we are upset, or express that someone has crossed our boundary without feeling guilty, like when we are limited and when we are limiting ourselves in that, it causes an unbalance in the body and in the soul and in the mind, because we feel that we're doing something wrong, because that is what we've been told. So what I have the privilege to do and the opportunity to do is to work with that energy on a soul level. So we get to look at where the root has come from, where the anxiety is coming from, where the anger is coming from, where the sadness is coming from, where we feel that we're being held back. Any of those symptoms that we are feeling have started somewhere. So as a shamanic practitioner and as a medicine woman, I get to look at the body and the soul as a whole. And any time throughout our life where we have gone through a challenging situation, or we have gone through a traumatic situation, or something has happened that hurts us. So whether that is hurting our feelings, whether that is hurting us physically, whatever that story might be, when something happens like that, what happens is that we actually, as a protection mechanism, is that we disassociate. So we actually leave a part, what we call is like a soul part or a soul fragment. So a fragment of us, we leave in that moment. So anytime that we feel that we need to protect ourselves in a trauma, or in something that we might feel is unjust, or something that's really hurtful, when we separate and we disassociate from that, and we leave that part of who we are, or a part of a soul fragment in that moment, that means that as we continue to grow and evolve, that because we're missing that puzzle piece, we're missing that part of us, that every other situation that comes into our life that essentially can magnify on that. And it gets to a point where it magnifies so much that we are fully blocked in that space. And it's hard for us to, or it's not necessarily hard, but it can feel like a challenge to be able to move forward from that. So with this shamanic work is that we get the opportunity to actually go back and reclaim that part of you, reclaim that part of us that has been lost in those moments where we have had, for keeping us safe, that we have had to disassociate and we've left a part of ourselves there. So we actually get to bring that energy back into the here and now, and we get to incorporate that back in and integrate that back into the body and back into the soul on a cellular level. So that means that pace that has been left behind, that makes us feel that we're not good enough, or makes us feel that that we can't express our voice, or that we can't stand up in our power and be a leader, because we were told when we were little that wasn't possible, or that we weren't enough. Whatever the story is, there's always a story. Okay, we're not getting wrapped up in the story, but it's about reclaiming that part of you back, so that you have an awareness and an understanding of why these patterns are playing out, and why these things have been happening up until this point, why they've happened that way. So it's all part of our learning. And as a shamanic practitioner, getting the opportunity to journey back to collect that part of who we are on a soul level and integrating that back in with the adult version of you allows you to be empowered, and it allows you with the knowledge and the wisdom to be able to move forward and to start integrating that back into your day-to-day life, so that way, if it was, a part of, not being able to express your voice. This is something I'm really passionate about, especially as women. So, we get told as little girls that we can't be, we shouldn't cry too much, or we shouldn't express our voice because we're being over emotional, or it's that whole energy of, be quiet, we don't want to be heard, you don't want to speak out of turn, that's not polite, all of those things. So then as you are stepping up into your power and wanting to create change for other people in your life, whether it's for yourself, for your family, for your business, that little event may have really affected you when you were told that, it wasn't polite to speak out of turn, or it wasn't polite to raise your voice, or you shouldn't do those things. You can't express yourself in that way because you're over emotional, or you're too sensitive, or you're too much. The number of times I've been told that I am too much, I would be rich. Okay? I've got a big personality, and I'm not afraid of or ashamed of that anymore. I used to be, okay? But when we can actually pinpoint and understand that root cause, and you don't need to know that. You don't need to know where the root cause of where it started from. Because when we are working with that connection with spirit, we have the ability to actually go back with spirit, and they are going to show us or show me what needs to be rewritten, so that I can actually bring that back and integrate that back in with you, so that you then have the ability to actually use your voice, to stand in your power, to not feel disempowered when you are using your voice. Because that we're shifting that. There's a change happening within that across the entire world, whether you, however you identify with your gender or non-gender. It is about expressing who we are. But when we are told and we are silenced for so long that we can't express that, we're going to lose a part of who we are. We're going to lose a part of our soul, a fragment of our soul. Doesn't mean that we're broken. It just means that we need to remember the power that we have and bring that energy back in to alignment, for us to come back in to feel in alignment again. And that's what this work is about. And it's about being aware of what is happening around us and in us, and about understanding it without that analytical monkey mind brain happening. So with my clients that come to work with me, I have the opportunity, we sit down at the beginning of a session and we just have a chat. We just talk about what is coming up for them. Because a lot of time we're not given permission to actually express what we are feeling, how we are feeling, and when we are feeling it. Because somebody asks us, oh, hey, how are you? Yeah, I'm good. Things are good. But when we actually give ourselves permission to actually stop and go, what is actually coming up for me? What emotions am I feeling at the moment? Where am I feeling blocked? Where am I feeling disempowered? Where am I feeling that self-sabotage coming in? Okay? So it's about that first part of our session is about allowing you the space and the freedom to feel safe, to feel that you have the ability to express what is going on, what emotions are coming up for you, what blocks you are feeling being put in the way, what physical symptoms are happening in the body, and to be able to just let it out. Because we hold on to so much because we don't feel like we want to burden people, or people don't know how to deal with shadow emotions. And what I mean when people don't know how to deal with shadow emotions is that if we are feeling upset or angry or frustrated or sad or anxious or, any of those things, that if we express that, people in society don't know how to respond. And they go, oh, okay. Yes, but, look at all of the beautiful things that you have. So then we go to the flip side of that toxic positivity. And that makes us, again, trigger that part of us that feels unheard, that feels unseen, right? So my invitation to allow you to express that and for you to truly feel seen and to truly feel heard and to not have to justify why you feel like that. Okay? So the first part of a session is we are just having a chat. And what I'm doing during this process of us having a bit of a chat is I am gathering what I like to call, you're gonna love this, what I like to call my hit list. Bow, bow. Okay? But that hit list, what I'm doing is I'm listening to you, and I'm listening to the words that you are saying, but also what you are not saying. Because that's also very important as well. Because we can get in our head and say what we think that we need to say, but we don't necessarily say what we're actually wanting to say. So I have the ability to work with spirit and my intuition and gather my hit list. So my hit list will compose of things that we want to work on in that healing session. So where what is triggering you? What triggers are coming up for you? Where are you feeling blocked? What emotions are tied to that? And are there people in your life that those patterns or those emotions are playing out with? So I'm having the ability to gain my little hit list so that we can get a picture of what it is that we want to get out of our session and what it is that we want to work on to integrate to help you with that next step forward on your soul's path and with where you are going and who you are becoming. Okay? So once we understand that, then your work is done for that moment. Your work is done. I then get to get you on my beautiful table. I get to make you all nice and cozy, and allowing yourself to just drop into the moment. Okay? And for some people, dropping into the moment might be sorting out their grocery list in their head and figuring out what they need to do. For other people, it might be having a sleep because they haven't been able to sleep for like 3 years, let's be honest. Okay? It's a little bit funny there. Anyways, but they may be struggling with sleep, so they may just want to just sleep. Okay? Or you may find that you just go into a bit of a deep trance meditation-like state. But the beautiful thing about this work is that you do not have to go back and relive any of the trauma. That is not your job. You've already lived it. So we don't need to sit and we don't need to talk it to death. We don't need to re-traumatize you or make you remember what happened. It's a beautiful thing that I love about this work, especially with some of the women that I work with who have been through quite physical traumas, okay? We don't need to relive that. We've already done it. We've already lived it, okay? We don't need to dive into that deeper. So you just get to lie on the table, relax, and enjoy all of the beautiful quirky noises that I use. I use a lot of sound healing in my work. So I use my medicine drums, I use rattles, I use the sound of my voice. Yeah, again, with this work, because I'm a conduit for spirit. So I am working with the creator energy and with our guides and our ancestors who are guiding me to what needs to happen. And what we do is we actually clear away any of that outdated programming that no longer needs to be there. Where you are ready to really create that shift and to move forward, and looking at what is stopping you from doing that. Where is that block? Where is that origin point, that root of what is blocking you from taking that next step, from using your voice, from stepping into your power, from being who you are on an authentic level. So I work with spirit, and I actually go back to understand the story, to understand why this is playing out for you. Because it's great to go, cool, I did, great, we're all done. And if you don't know what we did or why we did it, it can feel a bit incomplete. This is my experience. So part of my medicine is helping you understand the why. Why is this playing out? But not just understanding the why, but what was needed to be rewritten about that, and what was needed to be claimed back. What part of your soul, what fragment of your soul was lost in that. So, if we look at, for example, that, let's just go back to the voice, because this is something I'm really passionate about, especially with women, is using our voice. So say you have always felt all your life that you didn't have the ability to speak. You never, you were never heard in your family. Maybe you came from a big family, or, and you didn't have the ability to ever be heard within that. Okay. Again, there's so many different stories that associate with the voice. And when I go back with spirit and I go, okay, well, what's blocking Ashley from connecting in with her voice, from using her power in her voice? And spirit might show me a time when we were little, when Ashley was little, okay, I was shown a time where she wanted to share a story, or she wanted to do something, and her mom turned around and was like, shut up, like, be quiet, I'm doing something, as we do, like, we're human, okay, things happen. But that little girl in that moment felt unsafe. She felt that she wasn't heard, and she felt that she didn't have the freedom to use her voice. So I get the opportunity to ask that little girl, that 4 or 5, whatever age she is, might be teenager, might be a little child, and I go, what do you need in this moment? Like, what do you need? And she might just go, I need a hug, or I need the freedom to express, or I need creativity, or she might just also gift me something that is needed in that moment. And then I have the ability from spirit world to bring that energy and to bring it back into the body. And that usually for me, when I'm working with spirit, is there's a word associated with that. So that word is that essence and that energy of that soul fragment that needs to come back into the body. How cool is that? So after we finish the healing session, whatever that looks like, again, I go in with my hit list and I let spirit take the wheel and show me what needs to happen. And when after the actual session, then we have the opportunity to then sit back down. We have the opportunity to go through and to connect, and for me to share with you what that younger version, what that inner child, inner you needed to share with you. So might be gifts of certain things, the words that came through, the understanding of the why this pattern has been playing out, so that we can break that cycle. But understanding the why, and then creating a path forward as that energy integrates. And as we allow ourselves to work with that new energy and that new way of being, because this work, this shamanic work, it is working with the body on a cellular level. So it is reprogramming our cells, because that's where we hold the trauma. That's where we hold the fragmented parts of who we are. It's where we hold all of the crappy stuff, okay, is in the body. So when we have the ability to rewrite that and to reclaim that part of who we are, we get to bring that back. And so then the integration part, that's where the important part is. The actual healing, yes, that's great because we're reclaiming those parts of who we are and it's integrating in with us. But we then need to do the work. And that's where it's really powerful to have that support system, to be able to reach out to and to connect to. Because this work can bring up stuff. Okay? It can bring up those things because we're not just surface level. And I don't do surface level. Okay? So if you are looking for a healer, if you are looking for someone who is all unicorns and rainbows and, love and light, yes, I love that stuff, but that's not me. It is. Okay? I am definitely love and light, but I'm not going to just work on that surface level because I feel that as society, we need to go past that surface level. So I'm here to go deep with you. I'm here to really create that lasting change. So it's not just about, okay, I'm just gonna, rebalance your chakras and put your chakras back into balance. I really want to get in with the soul, and I really want to connect in with the soul and really tap in to what the soul is needing, wanting, desiring, and calling out for. Because that's where the really big impact of change is going to be. Okay, and that means that when we are really working to create that big impact of change, when we really, really are going deep with that, it means that we're going to have to go to some not so nice places. And what I mean by that is that it is time. It is time to create that change. It's time to stand in your power. It's time to let all of that go. Because that old programming, that old stuff that is sitting there, you don't need it anymore. Okay? So if you're ready, if you are like, yes, this is what I need. I'm ready to step out. I'm ready to step into who I am and who I am becoming. Because you are already who you are. And you are beautiful just as you are. You're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. You just need to be brought back into alignment with that person who is inside of you already, who is ready to stand up, who is ready to create change, not just for yourself, but for your family, for those future generations, for your children, for the other people in your system and in your life, for your business. Because when you are not right within yourself and you are feeling like you're struggling to stand in your power and to really use your voice and to shine through in your uniqueness, not my uniqueness, in your uniqueness, because we're all different and we're all unique in our own way. So when you feel that we can bring all of that energy in, right, and bring those parts of who you are back in so that your soul is remembering how powerful you are, because you are a powerful woman. And it is time for you to really invite that energy in, because you're needed. The world out there at the moment It is heavy. There is a lot going on, and there has been for the last 3 years. And I feel now more than ever that we are being called to really, 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 really step up. And when we step up, and it starts with us. It starts with us on a personal level. So when we step up and when we call in who we are already, but reclaiming those parts that have been lost, just think of how powerful your message will be then. Because that's what this work is about. Because that's really what this shamanic work is about. It is about, it's just about being you, being your authentic version of who you are. So if you are feeling called to this, if this is resonating with you in any way, reach out. I want to hear from you. I want to connect with you because we need more warriors. We need more individuals. We need more people standing up in their authentic uniqueness, their authentic version of who they are, and using their voice to create that change. So everything that I do inside of my one-to-one work is completely bespoke. Not one person that comes through my doors is the same. There may be similar stories, there may be similarities in concerns, right? But not every session is going to be the same because we're all different and all unique in our own way. So I create a container for you to be seen, for you to be heard, for you to feel empowered, not disempowered. That's not what this work is about. To feel empowered in who you are, to really take that stand, to create your own change. So in this video below, there is a link to my website that has more information for you around the different ways that we can work together. Okay? And if you're not 100% sure which is the best way for you to work with me, book in a connection call and let's have a chat and let's just see where we can work together and what it is that you are wanting to learn about yourself through that process. So thank you so much for joining me in exploring a bit more about the shamanic side and what a medicine woman healing is and what a sacred shamanic healing entails for you. Because we're all different. There's so many different shamanic practices out there, but we are all leaders in our own way in what we do. So really just listening to your intuition and feeling who you are meant to work with. So thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to connecting with you, and I'm looking forward to getting to know you on a deeper soul level. Aho.